Hi guys, and welcome to the first episode of the A10CII Pro Tips Series. Today we'll be looking at how to adjust the slew rate of your sensors in the aircraft. There are two slew rates that you can adjust in the A10. The first is the throttle, and the second is the Maverick. A lot of pilots are unaware of this functionality even after many hours in the aircraft. It can be very helpful to adjust this depending on how fast or slow you like the sensors to slew across the environment. Changing the slew rate to lower values will increase the travel speed of the sensor. Conversely, using greater values will reduce the travel speed of the sensor. The throttle can be adjusted between 0.1 and 9.5 in intervals of 0.1. The Maverick can be adjusted between 0.5 and 9.5 in intervals of 0.5. Your preferred value will change based on the type of switch you are using for the slew controls. This can either be a four-way switch, up, down, left and right, or you may have the slew controls bound to an axis. This will depend on your joystick and throttle, which controls you have available, and personal preference. Personally, I play with the Thrustmaster Warthog joystick with the trim switch to operate my slew controls instead of the axis on the throttle. You may have different results if you use an axis. Something to note is that the targeting pod has an initial acceleration stage that does not seem to be significantly affected by your slew rate. Presumably, this is in place to help you make precise adjustments to your TGP crosshair, regardless of your slew rate. So, to change the slew rate, enter the stat page on either the left or the right MFCD, press the next button, scroll down to where it says THRTL for throttle, enter a value either using the scratch pad or the CDU, press the OSB that corresponds to the slew rate button, and now you've changed the slew rate. Personally, I use a slew rate of 3.0 as I feel it gives me the best balance between accuracy and speed. To enter values for the slew rates, you can use the UFC scratchpad keyboard. Type the numbers you want. If you need to use a decimal, press the LTR then the 0 key. If you wait a few seconds, the L will disappear and you'll be able to enter numbers again. If you run into a problem like CDU or CICU input error, press the clear key on the UFC scratchpad and try again. You may also use the CDU keyboard if you prefer. Important to note is that if you change the slew rate on the throttle, it will impact your Tactical Awareness Display or TAD cursor speed, as well as the Target Designation Q speed on the HUD. To change the slew rate for the Mavericks, enter the Mav page on either the left or right MFCD, type a value using either the CDU or the scratchpad, then press the button that corresponds to the slew rate. In order to demonstrate the effect of the different slew rates, I set up a basic test with the following parameters. The targeting pod is set to narrow lens, with a zoom all the way out. On the ground at Al Dhafra are two trucks spaced 2 nautical miles apart. The aircraft is at 10,000 feet, 10 nautical miles from the targets. I then recorded the time taken for the targeting pod to travel between the targets. For a slew rate of 0.1, the targeting pod takes 3.2 seconds to travel, approximate ground speed of 3,269 feet per second. For a slew rate of 1.0, the targeting pod takes 4 seconds to travel, with an approximate ground speed of 2,640 feet per second. For a slew rate of 4.0, which is the default, the targeting pod takes 5.01 seconds to travel, with an approximate ground speed of 2,107 feet per second. For a slew rate of 6.0, the targeting pod takes 6.14 seconds to travel, with an approximate ground speed of 1,719 feet per second. For the highest slew rate of 9.5, the targeting pod takes 43 seconds to travel, with an approximate ground speed of 245 feet per second. Moving on to the Mavericks. For a slew rate of 0.5, the Maverick takes 4.07 seconds to travel, with an approximate ground speed of 2,595 feet per second. For a slew rate of 1.0, the Maverick takes 4.14 seconds to travel, with an approximate ground speed of 2,551 feet per second. For a slew rate of 4.0, the Maverick takes 6.2 seconds to travel, with an approximate ground speed of 1,703 feet per second. For a slew rate of 6.0, the Maverick takes 9.23 seconds to travel, with an approximate ground speed of 1,144 feet per second. For a slew rate of 9.5, the Maverick takes 34.13 seconds to travel, with an approximate ground speed of 309 feet per second. Thanks very much for watching, guys. If you have any suggestions for topics or videos that you want covered, make sure to leave me a comment. Constructive feedback is also welcome. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me on Discord.